listening to the VMX Show, Season 5.
Hello, kiddies, and welcome to the VMX Show. This is Season 5, Episode 3. Got a good amount of show for you planned, and unfortunately, I do have aggravating news, and I'm going to go off on a bit of a rant right away. So, prepare yourselves for that. You might want to batten down the hatches, tie down any heavy objects. You might want to take your genitals out and start stroking because I'm about to fucking rant. I'm pissed off. I'm in a bad mood, and I'll tell you why I'm in a bad mood. Right now, it's Sunday. It's pretty much exactly noon. It's actually 12:01 p.m., and you'll be seeing this, or hearing this rather, later on today when I get it all uploaded and everything. So there's that. But right now it's noon, and doing the VMX show here. And last night, actually it's Sunday right now. Last night was Saturday night. Well, actually, let me go back even further. Let me go back about a week. Let me go back to last Sunday, when the last episode of the VMX show came out. I talked to my friend Jesse, also known as Armageddon Time, who had wanted to be on. He actually wanted to be on the first episode of the show, but was unavailable because he was away for Christmas, so that's understandable. So I had Jeff from Just Press Start on. He was supposed to be on the second episode, so I bumped him up, which worked out nicely. In the second episode, Jesse was still away, so I couldn't interview him then. And remember, this is a guy that wanted to be on the first episode. So I went without a guest because nobody had contacted me at that point. It looks like I got to be the one to reach out to people. People won't just say, I want to be on the show, here's my information. Whatever. So that's fine. I don't care. So last Sunday, I spoke to him. I said, so you still want to be on the show? You want to be on episode 3? And he said, yeah, I want to be on episode 3. And I said, we also got to film the list critics. We got to record that because it's now January. And he said, yeah, of course. And this is what I said, because it's sometimes it's difficult to get together and record things because schedules got to line up and everything. And remember that this is Sunday. And I said, pick a day this week, any day that you would be available to record the list critics and the VMX show. Most importantly, the VMX show, because that's got a deadline. The list critics, I can put it up any time in the month of January. Prefer it to be near the beginning because I know there's a lot of people looking forward to it. It's become a very popular show, but it doesn't have to be any particular date. But very important that we get the VMX show in. And I'd like to do them at the same time, while I have you. So he says Saturday. So I'm thinking, all right, he's picking the very last day possible. He's waiting till the very last minute. So we got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. None of those. Going for Saturday. And I said, okay, we could do it Saturday. But if you're available earlier than that, let me know, because I'd like to get it done earlier than that. I don't like waiting till the very last second to record something. So, Saturday comes along. And it was exactly around 24 hours ago, because it was around noon when I talked to him. We always do these in the evening, But I talked to him around noon. And apparently he was also going to be having some sort of get-together with his roommates and drinking and whatnot. And he didn't know what time that was going to be and everything. And I said, well, remember, you picked the day. You picked it. You could have picked any day, but you picked Saturday, so we got to do this. And I said, I need you to be on, and I need you to be sober, because I don't... As funny as it is when he's drunk, trying to get through the list critics, and he's all like, Barrett and Tifa, it's a nightmare, So he said, don't worry, I'll be on, and don't worry. So that's at noon. So, we usually do it around 9 or so, but he wanted to do it earlier. He wanted to do it more around 7 or 8. And I said, that's fine. I'll probably be available around 7 or 8. And he said, yeah, I'll start looking online starting at 5 to see when you're on, and whenever you're on, we'll do it. And I was actually online at around 6. And I didn't see him on, but I saw his roommate, Terry, and I said, Terry, could you do me a favor? Could you let Jesse know that I'm on and I'm available to do this, because he wanted to do it as early as possible. And she said, well, he's cooking right now, but I'll let him know. I think he's going to be a while. And I said, that's fine. I didn't really expect him to be, on until around 8 or 9 anyway. But, he did say he wanted to do it as early as possible. So, just let him know so he knows that I'm ready. He doesn't have to worry about it. So she does that, Well, the asshole doesn't fucking show up. Doesn't even show up. I mean, I don't know, maybe he showed up at like 2 a.m., but I was in bed by then. I went to bed at 1 o'clock like I normally do. And I just don't understand. And I left him a message on Facebook, and I left him a message on YouTube, and I got really, really pissed off, and eventually I gave up and I went to bed. And I woke up, and I still haven't gotten any kind of replies from him. He's probably fucking hungover, and I'm really pissed off. So right now, I've made a decision on this that, as far as the list critics go, it doesn't have to be him. It could be anybody, and I will certainly have him do it, and I'll have him be on the list critics in the future. But I think that we're going to rotate the co-host on that. So there's a few people that I'm courting to possibly do episodes of the list critics, so we'll see about that. Needless to say, I don't have a guest this week, so it's once again just me talking. So sorry for that, and I know at least one person was looking forward to hearing his segment, but I hate to disappoint you, but it is entirely not my fault. I did everything right to make it happen. I wanted to make it happen. I would have rather have recorded it earlier in the week. But he's like, oh, I got a lot of shit to do and all this crap, and I'm fine, but he picked the day. So, I don't know. This is a personal pet peeve of mine. When you schedule something, you got to follow through. You got to actually do it. When you say, I'm going to be there at this date and this time, be there. And if you're not going to be there, if there's some sort of circumstances that arrive that make it impossible for you to be there, I need some notice, prior notice. Don't just not show up, So I'm really, really aggravated right now. In a very bad mood because of that. So if I answer your questions in a manner of utterly destroying you as a human being, you're just going to have to grin and bear it. Take it with a grain of salt, because like I said, I'm in a bad mood. So that being said, let's get to your questions and comments. Alright, let's start with the stuff that was PM'd to me. Let's see. Psycho8198 asks me, do you have the 3DS or plan on getting one, or will you just stick with the Vita? Don't have one. As for planning on getting one, I definitely want to just wait until the library available for it fills out a bit. You know what I mean? I do plan on getting the Vita, but the 3DS, I'm waiting on it. It's certainly a lot more attractive to me now that the price is lowered considerably from what it originally was. It was originally $250, and now it's $170, which is quite low. But I'm not like completely ready to get the 3DS just now. Uber McFailsauce says, excluding online games, what is the worst PC game you've played? Oh, I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't go out of my way to play terrible games unless it's like, on the channel and it's requested, and I don't take requests for PC games. Like, I haven't played like Big Rigs or any of that shit. I don't play a lot of PC games anyway, so mostly a console gamer. Moving on, Vitali97 says, hey Necro, great stuff as always. I was watching last week's and I heard the question about Ultimate Rock Group. I am going to ask a question that is a spin-off of that. If you had to be a member of, let's say, the Expendables, or you had to go to war with 3 other famous people, who would they be? Plus, how much money would it take for you to muff dive Susan Boyle? Dude, that's gross. Why are you asking me gross questions? I'm not going to answer that. That's just sick. I don't know. I mean, it's not even clever. Like, at least come up with something that's funny. How much money would it take? That's just... I don't think about those things, man. Anyway, as for the first question, okay, if I had to pick 3 other guys to go to war with, like real life people, I'm assuming, not not characters. Like I can't pick like Rambo or anybody. Let's see. You didn't stipulate whether we're talking about living people only, or if you could pick historical figures. So that being said, I'm gonna pick some historical figures here. I'm gonna say that I would want Genghis Khan, definitely Genghis Khan. Alexander the Great would be another one, and for the third one, I'm gonna go ahead and say, how about General George S. Patton? There we go. He might even still be alive. I'm not, probably not, but let me check on that. Actually, I'm curious. Let's see. Here we are. No, he died a long time ago. It's his son that's still around. Okay. Yeah, the George Patton Jr. But I would want the dad. I would want the original. None of that imitation shit. Okay, so let's move on. Who's next? Okay. Oh. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Fucking thing. WWE Nintendo Fan 01 asks me, what's my Skype name? It's the same name as on YouTube. Why are you asking me this? I've given this information like a million times. He also left another one, and he says, first video that I watch about VMX, so I don't know what to do, but here's a question. What is your favorite Genesis or 64 or Dreamcast or NES? Oh, out of those systems. I listed those because I don't know which one you have. What? Just answer one of those, especially 64. No, it would be the NES out of those. See ya. Check my channel if you're pissed, angry, or just want to watch shitty things. Well, why would I want to watch shitty things? What is on his channel? I'm going to go take a look at this. Alright, he's got that new design that you can't fucking find anything on. This guy looks like he's 10 years old. I'm sorry if you're got some sort of disease, or if you're actually 10 years old, but alright, anyway, let's move back to questions. Ice Dude 32 says, here is a question for you, Necro. I'd like to know what you define as a bad video game. Most people say a bad game is because it's either too easy or too difficult. Some say that it's because the game is a sequel to an established series and it's taking that series into a new direction. But for me, it goes down to the fact that if the game is unplayable, meaning that something hinders you from beating the game, like horrible controls, it's a bad video game in my opinion. My answer to that is a lot simpler. Is it fun? That's the only criteria that matters to me. If it's not fun, it's a bad game. So that's the only criteria for me. If I don't find it to be fun, then I consider it to be a bad game. WWE Lover 100 says, Necro, have you heard the new EP from Metallica called Beyond Magnetic? If so, what are your thoughts? By the way, I am the new generation and can punctuate. I noticed that. You're very easy to read what you're writing. I have not heard Beyond Magnetic yet. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to that yet. So, there's your answer there. I've heard it's quite good. It's songs that were going to be on Death Magnetic but were cut. So, in other words, B-sides. And I've heard they're pretty good. I did like Death Magnetic. Moving on along. Insane Wayne 253 says, nice album picks for 2011. I have to agree, the new Opeth sucks. Almost as if they tried too hard to be prog but failed. I tried listening to it and just got bored halfway through. I'm surprised no Devin Townsend Project albums made it on your list. Both Deconstruction and Ghost were damn good, even though they're opposite ends of the musical spectrum. Well, Deconstruction was probably the closest to being there, but there were just so many other albums that, just because an album doesn't make the top 10 doesn't mean that I didn't absolutely love it. Ghost was very good, except I was disappointed in Ghost because it was sort of a reiteration of the album Key, and Key was amazing. One of the best ambient albums that I'd ever heard, and definitely out of that sort of quadrilogy, because it was a one album told in 4 parts. You had Key, and then you had Addicted, and then you had Deconstruction, and then finally Ghost. And out of the 4, Key was my favorite, with Deconstruction coming in second. He also says, what was the very first game as a child that both hooked you into gaming and that you were skilled at playing? Believe it or not, Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt. I was very good at Duck Hunt. Still am. And when I got my NES and a bunch of games, and the first thing we played was the double car, Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, and I decided to play Duck Hunt first. And Super Mario Brothers took a lot of practice to really get good at, because when I was a child, I did not really have the best hand-eye coordination. But Duck Hunt, I was able to pick that up and do very good at it immediately. So, there you go. Moving on. Roy's story says, man, Lulu was bad. And I'm saying this as a guy who loves Reed and can't stand Metallica. Oh, dude, you're not even a man then. Alright, like I said, I'm in a bad mood. But that album was pretty much all Reed's fault. Also, dishonorable mention to the new Morbid Angel. You know, I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was an average album. I didn't have a problem with the new Morbid Angel album. Insane Wayne 253 says, I second the dishonorable mention to the latest Morbid Angel. Both that and Lulu are ear rape. Really? I can't even put them in the same category because I listen to Morbid Angel. I enjoy. Let me see if I have my my notes here. Basically, what I do is every time I listen to an album, well, actually, every month, what I do is I write down every album that came out that I listened to, and then I give it like a ranking, and not like a 1 to 10 ranking or anything like that, but I give it a ranking of either a minus, a plus, or 2 pluses. And the minus means I didn't like it. The plus means I liked it. And the double plus means I liked it enough that I'm going to put it into a list, a short list at the end of the year, and I'm going to look at all the albums that I had given 2 pluses, and those are the ones I'm going to listen to intently again and decide what makes it onto my list. And the new Morbid Angel, which was called Illa Divinum Insanus, I did give it a double plus, indicating that I did like it. I mean, it wasn't their best work, but it certainly wasn't ear rape. So that's interesting to hear. Nauru Mokill says, I am also apparently very old-fashioned, or at least halfway so. I believe the point of an album is to portray the songs like a story being told. Absolutely. I hate most bands and artists nowadays because they really only make 1 or 2 good songs, which get played on the radio, while the rest of their stuff is shit. I love the week's show. And in addition to my long response, I have a question. What is your favorite new artist of this past year? Mine would have to be Mumford and Sons. That's interesting. That is very interesting. I've never heard Mumford and Sons. Now this is going to be a little controversial here, but I'm going to give my Best New Artist award to Adrenaline Mob. And Adrenaline Mob is... They only released an EP. They're working on an album. But let me give you a little bit of background about Adrenaline Mob. Basically, it's 3 guys. You have Russell Allen, who's the vocalist. He's also the vocalist of Symphony X. On guitar, you have Mike Orlando, and he had worked with like Zakk Wylde and Bumblefoot and whatnot. And then you have Mike Portnoy on drums, and he used to be in Dream Theater. Their bassist left. They had Paul DeLeo as their bassist, but right now it's just the 3 guys. I was actually really prepared to not like Adrenaline Mob. I thought the concept of it was stupid. I think Mike Portnoy has spent most of the past year talking directly out of his ass. It's like I know that he's speaking English, but when he talks, this is what I hear. That's what I hear when he talks. So I was surprised that I really did enjoy the Adrenaline Mob EP. They're working on an album called Omerta. So they're really playing this stupid mobster theme a little too far, but the music was solid, and out of all the albums that I listened to, most of it was from established artists. So, and the ones that I really liked were all from established artists. So, for best new artist, I would give it to them. Moving along. Let's see. PS3TNA says, As a follow-up to the last comment I left about Lulu, did you like Death Magnetic? Yeah, I did like Death Magnetic. I thought it was a good album. It wasn't produced terribly well, but it was written very well. Dave Cornfan says, great episode again. When I wrote It Has Begun, it has begun, I was in fact quoting the Mortal Kombat movie. I had a feeling about that. I was wondering, have you played the video game The Darkness or read the comics? Oh, sorry, I just fell asleep for a second. No interest there. I also want to know, is Skyrim now your favorite Elder Scrolls game, or is it still Morrowind? Skyrim is indeed now my new favorite Elder Scrolls game. Oh, and happy fucking New Year to you too, man. Well, good. WWE1234 blah 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 says, I got one question to ask you. What is your favorite part of doing YouTube videos? I like doing a lot of different things, but honestly, my favorite part is the biggest pain in the ass ever. I love doing the clear and confusion stuff. The amazing sorry about that. The amazing Tony Rose says, I agree with you on the whole grammar and spelling thing. It makes my generation look bad and illiterate. There's really nothing that I could add to that other than thanks for the comment. Mr. Terrorface says, really good show, Necro. Always like watching your show. I have two questions to ask. Well, you'll enjoy. You don't want. Do you really watch it, or do you listen to it? Do you stare at the title card the whole time? I know I'm being mean today. Like I said, bad mood. What are things you're getting sick and tired of people complaining about? And what internet reviewers do you enjoy watching? I don't really watch very many internet reviewers, really, to be honest, except for like the funny ones, like Angry Video Game Nerd. And really just him, but as for what I'm getting sick of, okay, I've been meaning to talk about this. I'm sick and tired of people complaining about, well, one definite thing is games are expensive these days. Let me tell you something. A new PlayStation 3 game and a new Xbox 360 game, they both cost $60, $50 for Wii games, $40 for DS games. I'm not sure how much the 3DS games cost. $30 for PSP games. The Vita games are going to be $40. I remember a time when new NES games were $70. I remember many Super NES games being upwards of $70. The price of games is something that was in flux for a long time. And you have to remember, think back in the day to the earliest PC games when it was, you'd pay $50 for something that was literally just a floppy disk in a Ziploc bag with photocopied instructions, and that was $50. And then when you consider the type of games you were buying, it's laughable by today's standards, because these are the sort of games that would go on the iPhone for $1. So, to complain about that, it really pisses me off, and I'll tell you why it really pisses me off. If you're going to sit there and you're going to bitch that an Xbox 360 game costs you $60, let me explain something about that. The cost of a game hasn't really changed since the mid to late 90s. That's when it really started to solidify. But the costs of making these games has gone up quite a lot. Think of a game like, we'll say, a mid-90s game like Mortal Kombat 2. And think of the budget that Mortal Kombat 2 must have had. And that was a pretty big budget game at the time. They had to hire actors to do the moves and film it and digitize it and everything. And obviously they had to make the engine and program it and everything. But now compare that to the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Both of those cost $60. One of those cost a lot more to make. So the fact that games are, as I would say, only $60 is really, really amazing. And it really pisses me off when people bitch, games are so expensive now. No, you're just an idiot. There's other things related to that, but that's really all I'll say about it now. Mr. Irate Fan asks me 3 questions, and he numbered them, which is always nice. First question is, what is your opinion on fan fiction? Does most of it suck or not? I personally have read a few fanfics with piss-poor grammar and spelling. Here's an example. I'm not going to look at that. I don't need to piss myself off any more than I already am. Fan fiction, as any genre, is beholden to Sturgeon's law, which is that 90% of everything is crap. Although with fan fiction, it's more like 99%. There is good stuff out there. There are talented writers who start off writing that kind of stuff. But for the most part, not interested, 2, what is your opinion on Twilight? If I could take a dump right now and use that sound effect, that's my opinion of Twilight. And 3, are you a brony? No, I have a girlfriend. Okay, moving along. Red Devil Dazzy 2007 says, good episode. Thanks for answering my question. Which past character on the Mega Drive or Genesis should make a comeback in a new game? Cool Spot, Bubsy, or Ristar? That's not even close. Definitely Ristar. First of all, Cool Spot was not a Genesis character. That was also on the Super NES and the NES also. Bubsy was an abomination that should be forgotten. Ristar was a really good game though, so definitely Ristar. Dark Hill Pick says, are you a fan of The Tonight Show with Jay Leno? No, he sucks. Team Coco, bitches. Insane Wayne 253 says, I enjoyed the history of Zombie Sneak Attack. I laughed until my balls hurt. Couple quick questions. How do you get the still pictures with your audio, for example, your VMX show graphic? Do you use a video editing program like Vegas or Adobe Premiere? Windows Movie Maker. That's all it is. I make the image in Photoshop, and I record the audio in Gold Wave, and then I mix them together in Windows Movie Maker. Very easy. Also, you once mentioned that you used to do a show called Mandatory Metal. Was that on the radio or podcast? That was a podcast. It was 50 episodes of that I did. Splashfire Xerox says, what is your favorite curse word? Great episode as always. Wow. What is it? What are you, James Lipton, asking me my favorite curse word? I don't know. I mean, that's in flux. You know what I mean? Right now, it's tits. I've been saying tits a lot lately. But it's always in flux. So, I'll get sick of saying tits and I'll move on to something else. Jazzmaster909 says, great show as always, Necro. My question is, what style do you prefer? The old... Oh, I'm sorry. All right, I'm trying to rush through this. Let's slow down here. My question is, what style of Castlevania do you prefer? The old school platformers like Castlevania 3 or the new Metroidvania ones like Symphony of the Night? By the way, can't wait for Armageddon Time segment. Man, Q bus. Well, that's not happening, and you could blame him. As for the Castlevania question, I like them both, but I definitely like the exploration-based RPG ones a lot more. So definitely the Metroidvania ones. Although I got nothing against the action ones. Then again, I really, really love Lords of Shadow, and that I guess you could say is a 3D representation of the old school ones. Whereas like a 3D representation of the Metroidvania ones would be like what Lament of Innocence and Curse of Darkness was. So, I really, really like that one. But yeah, so there you go. I did have one more question here from PS3 TNA, but I just want before I read his question, I want to point out that he posted it on Season 5, Episode 1, which is a pain in the ass. Please, if you have a question that you want me to answer or comment you want me to read out on the VMX show, make sure that you post it on the most recent episode. So, the only reason I'm reading it is because I remembered this question because it was memorable. Not in a good way, but it was memorable. So I went and I searched for it. So here I have it. It's from PS3 TNA. He says, my question, Necro, is, do you think that Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo are being greedy by not packing any real games in with their consoles like they used to? And do you think making a good game to pack in with a console at release could help sales? All right. Let me destroy this person real quick here. You are the greedy one. Your question shows an inherent sense of entitlement that I find to be disgusting. You think that they should give you a real game. What is a real game? Is that the definition that I don't understand? What is the definition of a real game? Is there such thing as a fake game? Pack-in games are a thing of the past for a reason, and it's the same thing that I just ranted out a little bit earlier. The cost of a console, the average cost is of $200 to $250. It's the same that it's been. The NES cost $250 when it was first released, and it came with a whole bunch of shit. It came with the robot and all that bullshit. And then they got rid of all that, and it was just the gun and Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. And then eventually they were just selling it by itself. The reason is because how much do you think the NES cost to manufacture compared to the Xbox 360? Look at the price of the controllers. Remember how much it cost to buy a new NES controller? They were cheap. Now think of how much it costs to buy a Wiimote with Motion Plus, or how much it costs to buy an Xbox 360 controller, or from what I'm hearing, the Wii U tablets are going to be so expensive that it's basically going to be one per person. So to say that they're greedy by cutting costs, they're trying to make money here, because if you were to go and you were to buy the Xbox 360 and it was supposed to come with all the shit that they used to pack in the old days, they say, I don't just want the system, I want this system, I want 2 controllers, I want it to come with the memory units, and I want the fucking, I want it to come with like Halo 3 or something. They're not going to make any money at all. They're going to go out of business. Or they're going to say, you know what, fuck making consoles. That's what happened to Sega. Sega was packing their shit with a very expensive controller and a very, very expensive memory unit and a free game. And they were losing money with every Dreamcast sold. So, honestly, like I said, for you to say that they're being greedy for not giving you basically things for free, I mean, the fact that these systems cost $200 to $300 and not $500 to $600 is amazing. It's amazing. You can remember that the PlayStation 3 originally cost $600, and they had to cut. And that price was based on their costs. They had to cut it down to $300, where they are losing money to get people to buy it, because people are like, oh, I can't afford it, you're being greedy, $600 is too much. And I even think $600 was too much, but that's because I can't afford it. But I'm not going to sit there and call them greedy because they're not giving you real games or giving it to you for a price that you're comfortable with. All of these companies, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, Sega, all of them, also the developers and the publishers, Activision, Electronic Arts, even the indie companies, Atlas, Exceed Games, Falcom, Kazareth Studios. They exist for the same reason that every other company in this country, and in fact the world, exists, to make money. That's why you go into business, to make a living, to make money. And if you can do that doing something that you love and something that you're passionate about, that's wonderful for you. But all that passion and energy is not going to mean naught if you're going to lose money and go out of business. So, that being said, for you to call them greedy because they're not giving you real games, it shows an inherent sense of entitlement. Not only that, but you also asked, do I think it would help sales? Yeah, I think it would somewhat help sales, as in the same way that the Wii being packed with Wii Sports, which I don't understand how you don't recognize that as being a real game. Okay, I don't know what a real game is, but the fact that that was a big help for them. It also was a big hindrance for them, because there are a lot of people who don't realize that the Wii is in fact an actual console, that they think it's just something that you play bowling and tennis on, and they don't realize that there are other games that you buy and you put the disc in there and you play that. So as much as it helped Nintendo's sales and put them on top again for a while, the fact is it also hindered them by the fact that there are many people who didn't realize that Nintendo still made a console that you buy games for of the same style that they'd been playing, that they still have Mario and Zelda and Metroid and all that. That they think that the Wii basically boils down to a toy that you use to play bowling, golf, and all that shit. So, not only that, but you got to remember, it's an extra cost to them. So the sales that they make are offset by the cost of packing in a game. I mean, helping sales is great, but if you're spending money to do it, then you're practically back at square one at that point. So, yeah. All right. It's good that question came along when I was in a bad mood, because otherwise I might have tried to be all nice and diplomatic, and that shit don't fly. I could almost thank Jesse for pissing me off. Not really, but almost, you know? Alright. So, I don't have a guest, because of that friggin' dingus that, I'm sorry I'm laughing while I'm ranting. I was just looking at Facebook and I just saw the latest post from George Takei. That guy's hilarious. He always posts the funniest thing. He has this T-Rex hates push-ups. He's got this T-Rex trying to do push-ups, but his arms are too short to even reach the floor. He could do tongue-ups, I guess, or maybe he could do cock push-ups like in Tenacious D. So... I didn't mean to start cracking up, but I just, closed the tab, and then Facebook popped up, and I was like, oh, T-Rex hates push-ups from George Takei. Oh, man, that's funny. Okay, that helped me out a little bit. But anyway, let's get to the news then, alright? Since we don't have a guest, we're going to go directly into the news. My first news story here has to do with Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which 2 new fighters have been revealed. They've been revealing the lineup very slowly here, but the most recent ones are M. Bison from the Street Fighter side, and I think it's pronounced Zaoyu from the Tekken side. And so far, this rounds out. Let's see, how many characters do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We have 30 guys in this so far, so that's pretty strong. From the Street Fighter side, we have Ryu, Ken, Guile, Abel, Chun-Li, Cammy, Sagat, Dalsim, Poison, Yugo, Ibuki, Rolento, Zangief, Rufus, and M. Bison. And from the Tekken side, Kazuya, Nina, King, Marduk, Bob, there's a guy named Bob, Julia, Hwoarang, Steve, Yoshimitsu, Raven, Kuma, Heihachi, Lily, Asuka, and I think it's pronounced Seiyu. Not sure how it's pronounced exactly, but I think it's Seiyu. Bob. There's a guy named Bob. Why not? And also guests exclusive to the PlayStation 3 and Vita version. There are 3 of them. We have Cole from the Infamous series, and I have seen some... I've seen some footage of Cole in the Vita version of Street Fighter Cross Tekken, so it looked pretty cool. Toro, which is the Sony cat, it's like a little mascot thing, and also Kuro. I'm not sure who Kuro is. On Wikipedia, the page for Kuro goes to the page for Toro. That looks like an error. But it might be related. Maybe there's 2 kitten cats or whatever. What the fuck? But that's the latest going on with Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Last week, I did a story about Minicraft 2. Actually, it's going to be called Minitail. That is Notch's latest 48-hour turnaround developed game. This is what Notch said on Twitter. Finally came up with a decent name for the game I need to rename, Minitail. Even snagged the .com and .net for it. Yay. So, yeah. So this is apparently, I don't know, it's a sequel to Minicraft, which was a sort of a cross between Harvest Moon and a zombie style of game. So that's what's going on there. So there you go. For fans of the God of War series, I can tell you that they are working on God of War. There has been no official announcement yet. But like with many games in major IPs like that, it was revealed from somebody's resume. Timothy Williams, he was the guy who did the orchestral arrangements for a couple of games like Dota 2 and some movies and whatnot. He is listed God of War 4 under his work, upcoming work for music. So apparently, if they're making music for it, it means they're making the game. That doesn't mean that the game will necessarily be called God of War 4, but they are working on a fourth God of War series. Last week I did a story about Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2, and I sadly announced for people who bought it on WiiWare that this one will not be available on WiiWare, that will only be available on Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network. Well, I do have more news about Sonic 4, and I don't know whether you would call this good news or not, because I personally don't care, but apparently Tails will be in this game. So, as a matter of fact, they're using the dual Tails logo in place of the number 2, so it's like sort of like a Roman numeral, except it's 2 tails for episode and then the tail. So apparently he's in it, and it's going to be $15, and it's who cares? I don't know. Last season I did a news story about the possibility that Squaresoft would be doing an HD remake of Final Fantasy X be coming out for the PlayStation Vita. Well, I can tell you that it is happening. It's also coming out for PlayStation 3. So it is coming out for PlayStation 3 and the Vita. So that will definitely be happening. Don't know when it's coming out. It's in very early stages of the development, but it is being worked on, and I can tell you it will not be a Vita exclusive, also coming out to the PlayStation 3. Latest news from the gang of idiots known as Anonymous. They are now threatening to hack Sony Network, not the PlayStation Network, but the Sony Network, if they do not stop their support of the SOPA bill, the Stop Online Piracy Act. Now, I agree that this bill is going about things completely the wrong way. I'm against piracy, but then again, there's different definitions of what constitutes piracy and whatnot. Threatening to hack people for supporting a bill, to me, is no different than threatening to blow up people in the United States for supporting, we'll say, Israel. To me, it's nothing more than cyber terrorism. They are nothing more than cyber terrorists. They're not going to get anywhere with this. I mean, they did hack PlayStation Network, if you remember. They claim not to do it, but it was proven that it was members of Anonymous that were responsible for hacking the PlayStation Network and causing that huge amount of downtime that happened last year. And all I got to say about this is, if you remember, I did a lot of news stories about members of Anonymous getting arrested all around the world, and I think that if this goes through, if they decide to start hacking them, I mean, they're going to be arrested. To me, this is nothing more than cyber terrorism. So, fail to them. Got news for House of the Dead fans. This is good news for House of the Dead fans. House of the Dead 4 is finally coming to consoles. It was the only game in the series that to never come to a console. It was only on arcade. They had released House of the Dead 2 and 3. The original game was only released on the Saturn, although I think you might be able to get it on Xbox Live Arcade. 2 was on the Dreamcast, and then you can get 2 and 3 on the Wii as House of the Dead 2 and 3. Overkill, I think it was called. Or maybe I don't know. Whatever. Don't need to correct me. I don't care. Anyway, House of the Dead 4 never reached console, but it is coming to the PlayStation Network. Exclusively to the PlayStation Network. So you will not see it on WiiWare, and you will not see it on Xbox Live Arcade. So, and I'm assuming that this is exclusive to PlayStation 3. I can't imagine that working with Nick the Vita or whatever. I guess you could tap the screen to shoot. I don't know. But there you go. Also, it will have Move support, which I think is a good thing, because if you have the PlayStation Move, you could just use it to point to the screen instead of having to buy a light gun. So that to me is a smooth move for them. Here's some good news: the charity Child's Play, which was started by the two guys who created Penny Arcade, did really good in this last year. If you're unfamiliar with Child's Play, basically they work on getting like consoles and games into hospitals, so that children who are in the hospital will have something to play with. And I think that's a great cause, because when I was about 10 years old, I actually turned 11 in a hospital. So I spent a few days in a hospital myself, very, very ill with salmonella poisoning, and it was a nightmare. And the only video games I had was the Game Boy that my mom bought me at the time, and what else did you have? You had Legos, and they didn't have the cool Legos like today, shitty Legos. So good to know that Child's Play did really good. They raised over $3.5 million in donations for 2011, which is quite a lot more than they raised in 2010. They raised $2.2 million in 2010. So definitely charitable donations to Child's Play is going up. Their current goal for 2012 is to match that, another $3.5 million, and I think they'll pass that if it keeps going the way it's going. So really, kudos to Child's Play and everybody who donated to Child's Play. I know quite a few people personally who donated to Child's Play, so that's pretty cool of them. Here's the latest stuff coming out on Nintendo's download services. Samurai Sword Destiny is coming to the 3DS download software from UFO Interactive for $5.99. Samurai Sword Destiny is a character-driven action game that will challenge players of all levels. You control a deadly female samurai, Akane, with a single goal in mind: to find and bring her missing elder brother home. On Akane's quest, she will encounter deadly ambushes, invade enemy castle rooftops, and square off against seemingly indomitable opponents. With the help of dozens of upgrades available to enhance her fighting abilities, Akane just might have a fighting chance against the forces that stand in her path. Coming to WiiWare, we have Zombie Attack. This is from Gamers Digital for 500 Wii points. Zombie Attack is an arcade survival game. In an infected metropolitan city overflowing with hungry zombies, you must stay alive, armed only with a giant slingshot and ammo such as anvils, tires, experimental, highly explosive Z-bombs, and even the undead themselves. Kind of sounds like, I'm going to watch the trailer here. It kind of sounds like Angry Birds or Crush the Castle. It's rated everyone 10 plus. So I just want to take a look at this trailer real quick. Fucking play already, you whore. Why is it taking so long? Staring at the WiiWare logo for. Okay, here we go. Alright, let's. Show me gameplay, you dick mangler. Alright, well, it is sort of like that, except it's 3D. You're throwing the stuff into the background, so it's not quite like that. Quick Fill Q is coming to DSiWare from Age Tech Incorporated for 200 points. Keep on rolling. Q is a spherical creature who rolls on without stopping. However, holes appear in the way to try and stop Q's progress. Fill the holes using swift thinking and precise control so Q can keep on rolling. Okay, so good for them. Three Heroes Crystal Soul is also coming to DSiWare from Circle Entertainment for 500 points. Christenia is an ancient kingdom that you blah 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 blah. What do you do in this game? You protect the kingdom by defeating monsters and collecting various kinds of natural energy released by them. Fair enough. So that's what new is coming to Nintendo's download series. Now I have some Epic Mickey news here. Epic Mickey was a fairly high-profile game for the Wii that kind of got lost in the shuffle in 2009 with all the other amazing Wii games that were all coming out at the same time. I can tell you that I'm sorry, it was 2010, not 2009. Epic Mickey will be coming multi-platform. So apparently Epic Mickey hold on a second. Let me actually read this here. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the original game is still exclusive to the Wii, but there will be a sequel, Epic Mickey 2. This will go multi-platform. It will be coming out for the Wii. It will be coming out for PlayStation 3 and it will be coming out for Xbox 360. Now, I assume that the PlayStation 3 version will have Move support. As for whether or not the 360 version has Kinect support, I don't know. So, that's up in the air. But there is a sequel coming. Epic Mickey 2 is the title right now. It might change, but it will be coming to all three systems. Shigeru Miyamoto's working on something new. As we know, he's been working on Luigi's Mansion 2 for the 3DS and Pikmin 3 for the Wii U. He's also working on an undisclosed original title. So we don't know much about that, but he is working on something brand new, which is about time. His last brand new IP was Pikmin, so that was a GameCube launch title, so there you go. I usually don't like to repeat what analysts say, because analysts are full of shit. But this one sounds like it might have something to it. Obviously, last year at E3, Nintendo's big announcement was the Wii U, their next system, 18 months before the launch of the system. So, I've speculated previously that we might be seeing something from Microsoft in terms of the next Xbox console, and I wish people would stop calling it Xbox 720, because I don't think they're going to call it that. And whatever the next PlayStation is, whether it's going to be called PlayStation 4, or hopefully they'll come up with something a little more original than that. But they are saying that we will definitely see something at this next E3. And this is coming from not analysts, so to speak, although analysts have been saying this, but some sources that can't be revealed, apparently. So apparently this is insider information, so we'll see what's going on. Good news for Final Fantasy fans. Obviously, you know that the next game, Final Fantasy 13-2, is coming out at the end of this month, but before that, next week, or I guess that would be this week now, you will be able to download the demo on both PlayStation Network and Xbox Live. January 10th, it will hit the PlayStation Network. On the 360, it will be January 11th. Square Enix's mum on what will actually be in the demo, but I'm sure it'll be interesting. So there you go. Lastly, last week I did a story on the PlayStation Vita's launch titles, and I have one more to add to that. It's been announced that Ninja Gaiden Sigma Plus will be a launch title in the United States for PlayStation Vita. So that's pretty cool if you like Ninja Gaiden and you're looking to get a Vita. There you go. So that's it for the news. Let's move on to the sales figures, and then I can fucking wrap this up and upload it. I'm still waiting for Armageddon time to show up so I can yell at him. That fucker. Anyway, let's get to the sales figures then. Let's start with the United States. The biggest, and this is for the week ending in December 31st, so last week of 2011. The biggest seller in the United States was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 for Xbox 360, which sold 271,885 copies. Kinect Adventures for Xbox 360 sold 264,911 copies. Just Dance 3 on the Wii sold 256,785 copies. Super Mario 3D Land on the 3DS sold 173,964 copies. Star Wars The Old Republic on PC sold 166,968 copies. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 for the PlayStation 3 sold 163,886 copies. Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS sold 139,967 copies. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim on the Xbox 360 sold 112,523 copies. Assassin's Creed Revelations on the Xbox 360 sold 110,941 copies. And NBA 2K12 for the Xbox 360 sold 107,277 copies. Moving along to Europe, the top-selling game in Europe was Just Dance 3 on the Wii, which sold 223,533 copies. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 for PlayStation 3 sold 188,155 copies. Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS sold 146,397 copies. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 on Xbox 360 sold 145,470 copies. FIFA Soccer 12 on the PlayStation 3 sold 136,214 copies. Star Wars The Old Republic on PC sold 131,294 copies. Kinect Adventures on Xbox 360 sold 131,245 copies. FIFA Soccer 12 on Xbox 360 sold 127,274 copies. Battlefield 3 on the Xbox 360 sold 116,747 copies. And Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games on the Wii sold 113,669 copies. Over in Japan, the top-selling game was Mario Kart 7 for the 3DS, which sold 113,577 copies. Monster Hunter 3G on the 3DS sold 105,869 copies. Musu Orochi 2 on the PlayStation 3 sold 73,916 copies. Super Mario 3D Land on the 3DS sold 68,011 copies. Final Fantasy 13-2 on the PlayStation 3 sold 58,963 copies. Inazuma 11 Go, which the Americanized title would be Inazuma 11 Go. Actually, no, that's not the Americanized version. The full title, I'm sorry. Inazuma 11 Go Dark Shine for the 3DS sold 49,148 copies. Just Dance Wii on the Wii sold 33,908 copies. Kirby's Return to Dreamland on the Wii sold 24,656 copies. Wii Party on the Wii sold 22,559 copies. And SD Gundam G Generation 3D, what a fucking name, that's on the 3DS, that sold 20,619 copies. For hardware sales, the big seller in America was the 3DS, selling 226,143 units. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The 360 sold more than that. The Xbox 360 sold 331,077 copies. Then the 3DS. Then the PlayStation 3 was 193,299 units sold. The Wii sold 183,621 units. The DS, 82,968 units. The PSP, 56,671 units. The Vita hasn't been released here yet. In Europe, the big seller was the PlayStation 3, 282,866 units sold. 198,793 units of the 3DS were sold. The Xbox 360 sold 191,949 units. The Wii, 162,660 units. The PSP, 86,537 units. The DS, 68,144 units. The Vita hasn't come out in Europe yet. We have the APMEA, the Asian Pacific, Middle East, and Africa. So that includes Japan, the Middle East, and Africa. We have the big seller being the 3DS, 240,476 units. They were record-breaking with the 3DS in Japan in particular. PlayStation 3 sold 146,514 units. PSP did really well, 112,194 units. The Wii, 68,836 units. The PS Vita, 54,965 units. The Xbox 360, 27,861 units. And the DS, 30,134 units. So, worldwide, the top 10 selling games were Just Dance 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Kinect Adventures, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 on PlayStation, Mario Kart 7, Super Mario 3D Land, Star Wars The Old Republic, Battlefield 3, Assassin's Creed Revelations, and Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games. Worldwide, the top-selling console was the 3DS, followed by the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Wii, PSP, DS, and the Vita is hanging in there last. Of course, it's only been released in Japan, so hopefully the numbers will go up as it's released elsewhere. So I really want the Vita to do well. I'm very much wanting to play the Vita. So obviously you want to buy a system and you want it to do well because you want lots of games to come out for it. So there's that. Oh, here, you know what? Here's a news story that I want to talk about. I know I finished the news, but this just came up, and it's related to what I was talking about earlier about the price of consoles and how it's kind of amazing that they release them. Like the Vita, for example. Penny Arcade said it best, and I've mentioned this before. When the Vita was first announced and revealed, before they were even calling it Vita, they were calling it the NGP, and they didn't. NGP only stood for Next Generation PlayStation. It didn't mean anything really, so it didn't have a name. And the Penny Arcade strip was, oh, how much do you think their new handheld thing is going to cost? And I said, well, and Tycho was the one that said, I think it's going to be around $10 million. He says, that shit has a touch screen on the back. That don't cost $1. If their shit was $250, they'd be like, suck it, Nintendo. Our shit is $250. And a year later at E3, they did that, which was amazing. I was blown away that they were going to sell that thing for $250. Now we're talking about the Wii U. We know the Wii U is going to be expensive. And apparently somebody asked Reggie Fils-Aime, who is the North American president of Nintendo, if he had to choose between a price for the Wii U between $250 and $600. Apparently, it might be closer to $600. The quote from Reggie says, the Wii U is going to be for consumers who want to have the latest gadgets and have a higher disposable income. So this might be kind of like the PlayStation 3, where it kind of has a slow start, and then much later, when the price becomes more reasonable, it will start to surge forward. But yeah, there you go. It's not going to be the same price as the Wii, or really even close to it. So there you go, There you go. Anyway, that'll be the show for this week. Hopefully next week we'll have a guest. Don't know who it's going to be, but, if you want to be on the show, you got to tell me, and you got to schedule it, So that being said, have a good week, everybody. VMX out.